Hello everyone and welcome back to Bitwig Studio and Music Production. This is lesson 5.49, and in this lesson we're going to talk about using our various EQ models and devices to apply some unique filtering to our polysynth. So this is what we have right now. So let's apply some of this first filter in here. Maybe some oscillator FM. So that's a kind of cool sound, but we only have this one filter, and even if we stack filters inside of an FX chain or something, they can still be rather limiting in a lot of ways. If I pull up the filter device here, we have these different filter models, and then we have a cutoff and a resonance, but what if we want to hype different areas of the frequency spectrum? There's a few ways we can do that. One of them is going to be more surprising to you, and that's to actually use a resonator bank. So with all of these techniques, you have to be kind of careful how you dial these settings in, mainly because we don't have typically a key tracking. Now in this instance, we do have a key tracking inside of the resonator bank, and that is really, really cool. So there's a reason why I would use the resonator bank as opposed to using the EQ-5, but the resonator bank and the EQ-5 are very, very similar. So let me just pull this all back so we're not hearing anything from the resonator bank. So we'll just have one band here. And really what the resonator bank is, it's a bunch of these bell filters. And I can increase the gain, just like I can increase the gain down here. That's the same thing as me pulling this up. I can also increase the Q amount, and I can do the same thing here, as you can see if I pull this up a little bit higher. And then I can choose my frequency, and obviously I can choose my frequency in here also. But what makes this so incredible is that we have a key tracking option. So even though our key tracking isn't going to be able to sync up with anything, with the resonator bank it actually will as we play up and down the keyboard. All right, so let's go ahead now and dial something in. So I'm playing a C note. And I actually already know what these frequencies are that I need to type in. So I'm going to go ahead and try to command click. For whatever reason, it's not letting me command click. So I'll just shift and get to where I need to be. I need to be at 65.41 for my first one. So 65.5 is close enough for me. That's going to be a C2 note. All right, I'm going to try to emulate a C major triad here. Next, I'm going to go up to 130.81, which is a C3. So we'll just go, I guess we can round up to 131. Kind of frustrating that's not letting me command click. Normally it does. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe because caps lock is on. Let's see. Yeah, that seems to be the issue. 130.81. Then I'm going to type in 164.81, which is an E3. Oh, excuse me. Then I'm going to type in a 196, which is going to be a G3. And then I'm going to type in a 392, which is going to be a G4. And if you wanted to, you could also calculate out what a C5 is. So really, we're just using these to try to hype these areas in the frequency spectrum so that we can actually evoke a C major triad. So let's see if we can pull that out. And again, remember, we're just in mono right now, and we're not hearing anything from the resonator bank as of yet, but we will in just a second. So we'll pull the mix to like 40% or so, and then start to add in gain at all these places. I'll pull the Q up to something in this region here. You can tweak this to taste. So there's that C. An octave up. Perfect. But right right now, if I'm playing up and down the keyboard, I'm still hyping these same frequencies. It's not going along with me. And if I was a little smarter about this, I'd probably pull the resonance down here, and I'd pull back on this low pass filter so we can really hear the chord effect. Sorry, I got to keep playing a C, I forgot. And now if I apply key tracking to this, as I play up the keyboard, these frequencies are going to follow along, and so it's like I'm playing major triads everywhere along the keyboard. We can compare that to. You can hear how sometimes we're hitting these resonant peaks where our saw wave or whatever that wave is that we've created is being hyped at a particular place that it doesn't particularly like. So key tracking makes a big difference here. And there are some great presets as well, which we could check out. Let's do Mystichord 1. Let's listen to that. So that's awesome. I think that's a really cool trick you can use. And if you're smarter about the actual frequencies you choose to hype and look to do things a little bit higher in the frequency spectrum, you'll get some better results than that. The other thing that we can use as a bit of a modifier as a filter is the EQ-5. And there are some really interesting presets, and I'm going to talk about how we can create these on our own. But let's just go ahead and use this ah here. And when I play the note, you can kind of hear that ah. And then we can use the shift to kind of move things around a little bit to make it more interesting without having to go in here and move all of them at the same time. It does it for me, which is awesome. And we can actually map some macro controls. For example, we could map the amount. And we could also set this into bipolar mode and then map that to 50%, if I can get that right. Something less than 50 for right now. And suddenly all sorts of really cool timbral possibilities open up for you. Now, if you don't want to use the bipolar, or the shift, I should say, what you could do instead, which is a little bit more experimental per se, is we can actually map and move all of these different frequency points by the same amount. Okay, so in this case, we'll do it where we're moving everything up, but you could also move everything down if you wanted. And I don't think I can set this into bipolar, but maybe I can try. And let's just pull up on all of these by the same amount. We'll pull up by 10 approximately. 10. I wish I could do this faster. I apologize. 10. It doesn't have to be perfect. We'll just get it close. 10. 10. And 10. And so now as we move this, we'll be able to see this particular setting inside of the EQ-5 moving. So that's pretty cool. So let's set to its default. And now what we have to do is put this FX chain inside of an LFO or inside of the step or the audio mod, whatever you want. And we can get a little freaky with it. And maybe I'll just have the LFO messing with the amount, and then I'll play with the shift on my own. So let's take that out of bipolar mode. Pull amounts up, slow this down quite a bit. And let's get cracking. And then we could really take this to new heights by adding in distortion, because when we add in distortion, we know how it's going to hype certain of these frequencies, and that's going to make this even sound a little bit grimier and dirtier. So why don't we add in a distortion in the front? Pull the mix down, do what I always do here. You guys are probably so bored of watching me do these same tricks, but this is really the basis of all synthesis right here, is knowing how you can manipulate your frequency spectrum. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set this in like this range right here. Use LFO2 to modulate that. That's probably a little bit too much, eh? And we'll go down to something like 1 bar or 2. So that's really, really cool. And what I want you guys to do is check out some of these interesting presets. And of course, you can build your own and just build it at complete random, and you're always going to get really cool results. You don't just have to boost, you can cut as well and see what happens. The next couple of videos, we're going to talk about building our own vowel-based filters. And I think that's going to be a really cool topic for us all to discuss. So you'll hear from me again in that lesson. Take care.